Hello my friends and welcome to another Game of Thrones episode, Impressions and Thoughts. As always, we have a lot to talk about. I have my notes here and yeah, so let's begin now. Before I do so, though, I would like to let you know that if you haven't watched episode 4, I suggest you do so before watching this video because it will be full of spoilers. Yes, and with out of the way, excuse me, let's begin. First scene, the opening scene of the episode, we see our favorite characters that survived the Battle of Winterfell, paying their respects to the ones they lost, and we see Dany standing over Jorah's, Sir Jorah's body, and she gives him a kiss on the forehead, and of course he's being emotional. And we see Sansa crying over Theon, and I love the fact that she put the Stark pin, on him. It was like acknowledging what he has done for her family and telling him, you're Stark, you're just one of us. I love that. And of course, we see all the bodies, and we can pretty much understand their loss and what they lost. And we also see Ghost. Ghost is there, but he's really hurt, but he's there. Oh my god. That scene was emotional, and then we have Jon having a beautiful speech and, saying some words from the Night's Watch oath. I like that, and some really nice words in general, like we shall never see their like again. And of course that we should keep their memory alive for what they did and what they understood, how important it was, and how bravely they fought. That was the essence. I love that. It was a very beautiful speech, of course. And then we see that they're passing the torches and they're lighting the dead, and we see Arya with Sir Beric Dondarrion and Sam with it because he saved his life. Very, very beautiful scene, opening scene. I really, really liked it. And then we see that they're having a feast at the Great Hall, and of course it all reminded us of that episode in the first season. Maybe it was even the first episode, I don't remember, when King Robert Baratheon arrived. It was something like that, and I like that because we see that after death, our characters celebrate life. I really, really like that. Yes, it was important, Usually it happens after a big tragedy like that and loss. Yes, I like that. And we see Gendry and the Hound talking, and Gendry's looking for Arya. And while he's looking for her, Dany calls him and asks him who is, the Lord of Storm's End now, and tells him you're Robert Baratheon's son, blah blah, and all these things. And she's making a political move and legitimizing him into the Lord of Storm's End. Yes, it was a nice move. Yes, even Tyrion agreed and told her so, and she said, see, you're not the only smart one. I like that because we are going back to the political game that Game of Thrones is known for, of course. And I get distracted, excuse me. And then we see what happens next. They make a toast, to Gendry, of course. And then we see Jaime and Brienne playing, I don't know, ignore that, of course, as always. Yes, Jaime and Brienne drinking, in the same company, and Tyrion and Davos talking about Melisandre, and Davos is confused with the whole Lord of Light thing and everything, and they're talking, and it was a nice talk there. I enjoyed it, and of course Tyrion saying something that we have defeated them now, but we have us as well. That was really nice. Yes, nice interaction. And then we have an interaction between Bran and Tyrion, talking about the saddle that Bran is sitting on and telling something about a former Targaryen king who had made it for his nephew, something like that. I'm not very much familiar and I'm terrible with names, but it was nice to see that. And the nice thing I got from this interaction was Bran's I'm living in the past thing, he said the sentence. That was very interesting because it makes you wonder, what does he mean? What is going on in this boy's head? Yes, it was interesting, of course. And then the feast continues. Jonah is, toasting to Dany, and Dany is toasting to Arya, excuse me. I don't know, my brain is wandering somewhere else. Yes. And saying this is the hero of Winterfell, of course, and we have a drinking game. That's what I would tell you, between Jaime, Brienne, and Tyrion and Pod, that they played with I don't remember which season, but it was Tyrion with Bronn and say we remember that. It was nice. And again. We go back to Tormund praising Jon Snow and telling all these great things that he has done and the person he is. And at that point, we see that Dany realizes that people love Jon more than they love her. Even after everything that she has done, yes, people love Jon still, more. And she realizes that. And to me, this scene reminded me, to be honest, of when they were praising Dany in the Dothraki feast. What was it? I don't remember. That she had to eat the horse heart and everything. Yes, that scene reminded me of that one. Yes, and we see that Dany doesn't like that Jon is. Very much liked by the people, and I'm guessing it has to do with the Iron Throne and her claim and everything. And she is leaving, and we see that Varys notices that, and that she doesn't like it. It was very interesting. Of course, and again we go back to the drinking game. Tyrion teasing Brienne about, her personal life and everything. Brienne leaves, Jaime going after her, and I was like, oh my god, maybe. And then we see Tormund is disappointed and he's heartbroken and he talks to the Hound about it. It was a funny moment. And, but he decides to drown his sorrows with a lady, but the Hound doesn't do the same. He was a bit harsh to the other lady anyway. And we get to see an interaction between Sansa and the Hound, which I enjoyed a lot. And it was really nice to see that the Hound was telling her, if you would have come with me, nothing would have happened, everything that happened to you. But then Sansa telling him, more or less it had to happen, because if it wasn't for everything that she had been through, she wouldn't have been the person she is today. And I can relate to that, and most of you, I understand. Yes, I can relate to what Sansa is talking about, of course, in this scene. And she says that I would have been, still have been that little bird, but now she's a strong woman. I really like that interaction, of course. And then we have another nice scene, Gendry finally finding Arya and being happy to tell her, oh my god, that I'm, the Lord of Storm's End now, and oh my god, he proposed to her. I didn't see that one coming. But it was nice, and of course I didn't expect Arya to say yes, and she told him, we all expected, I believe, that I'm happy for you, and any lady would be happy next to you, but I cannot do that because that's not me. Yes, of course. And then we have the scene that I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe it. Jaime and Brienne being in Brienne's room, trying to continue the game and everything. Jamie's feeling hot and all these things. You saw that. I was like, I can't believe it. It's happening finally. Oh my god. Because, how I have told you before that I like the relationship, and they have developed feelings for one another, and feelings of respect and love, and I really like that. Yes, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, yay, oh my god, finally. Nice scene. Yes, of course, they were kissing and everything, so cute, really nice. Then next scene we have John going to Danny's room, or no, Danny going to John's room, and then we have an intense, quite a bit of an intense conversation. We see how Danny is trying, to have her way and try to convince John to keep his secret and not tell another soul, and nothing will change because she has been to where John is before, and she can see how things will turn out. She can assume based on her experience anyway, and so she's trying to convince John. She's trying not to play, but to get around a bit and have him do what she would like him to do. But yes, and she's using all this. This will not be good for our relationship. Things will change. I know. Yes, it was a nice scene. She also told him, "I wish you couldn't tell me," But anyway, they have a quite an intense moment there, and she leaves. But before that, John says, "No, I have to tell Arya and Sansa because they are family." Interesting, yes, interesting scene. I enjoyed that as well. Then we see, Jaime and Brienne, blah blah blah. After resting, I still can't believe this happened. Yeah, so happy for those two. For a while, I will come back to that. Oh yes, and then we have the characters meeting, having again another war council again, and counting their losses and saying something, about their allies and the Prince of Thorn. I didn't get that, but we'll see what happens. I don't know if it's really important at this point or not. Yes, and Dany wants to go after Cersei immediately, but Sansa says makes a really good point, to be honest, that every man is tired and wounded, and they should rest for a while, and so are the dragons that we see later on. Yes, but Dany disagrees, and Tyrion, comes up with another plan. He's trying, to convince her for something, I don't know, not burn down the city, or how to get around, something like that. I couldn't quite remember. Yes, I can't quite remember. And oh yes, and after that we have the meeting, between the siblings, the last of the Starks. Yes, and Arya, Jon, and Sansa, and the Bran is there as well, and we have that thing that trying to convince him that they don't trust Arya and Sansa. The girls don't trust Dany, but he says why, blah blah blah, trying to convince them as well. And then he says that we are. Someone says that they are family and everything, and then Bran and Jon are looking at each other. I like that, and Bran is telling him it's your choice, and Jon tells him, I have to tell you something, but it's a secret, and you have to promise me, and I swear that you won't say a word to anyone else. And we guess that he tells them. Yes, but we don't find out until later, of course. I have here, asks Bran to tell them. Yes, but we don't see that happening anyway. And then we go back to Jaime and Tyrion, and Tyrion is teasing Jaime, telling him I'm happy about you, and other few things that was nice talk between the brothers. And out of the blue, we see Bronn appearing with a crossbow, and they have an interaction there. I like that. I enjoyed the dialogue they had there, and Bronn is telling, tells them that Cersei sent me here to, kill you, but he renegotiates the offer and everything. So Tyrion offers him Highgarden, and Jaime disagrees, but Bron tries to convince him because he throws an arrow and all these things. Yes, but that was the important thing of the scene, that Bron is telling them, make sure you stay alive because I want that castle. Is he going to get his castle? We don't know what's going on with that poor Bron. Yes, anyway, but it was a nice, interesting scene as well. And then, what else do we have? I have 100 pages of notes. No, but a lot, guys. Yes, still it was a nice episode as well. And I wanted, of course, to make it. Oh, and then we see another short scene. Arya and Hound live in Winterfell, and going to King's Landing and talking about the Night King and everything. And yes, they say that they're heading to King's Landing for unfinished business, and I believe that most of us, all of us actually understand what they are talking about. Hound has to face his brother, the Mountain, and Arya has to end Cersei, cross her name off of her list. Yeah, that was a nice scene as well, short, but I enjoyed it. And we have Dany and the dragons, and we see that the dragons are hurt. My heart was, breaking at the point for the poor dragons. Little did I know until the next scene, not the next, but the following scenes of the episode. Anyway, then we have Sansa and Tyrion looking at the dragons, and we see that they're talking about again Dany disagreeing because Sansa doesn't like her and doesn't trust her, and Tyrion says that she's a good queen, and she will be really good and able to rule and everything. And then Sansa telling him, and what if there was someone better? And Tyrion is looking at her like that, and we know that she is about to tell Jon's secret. We know that she's about to say it, yes, but it was interesting to watch, of course, as well. And then we have Jon saying his goodbyes to Tormund, and Tormund tells him that he's going north to Castle Black because that's what they are, like northerners, and they hug, and Tormund tells him that you got the north in you, the real north. That was a nice sentence that had me thinking, yes. And Jon is telling him, take him with you, and he's sawing Ghost, and we see that Ghost is really, really hurt. He has lost his ear, and he's looking at Jon like that. And before Jon, leaves, okay, I will come back to that because I was really, really pissed at that moment. I was really angry at Jon at that moment. Anyway, but before that, we see Sam and Gillian that Gilly is pregnant. They're expecting the baby, and if it's a boy, Sam wants to call him Jon, and Jon saying, I hope it's a girl. Oh, because his real name is not Jon. Anyway, and that was a sweet emotional moment. Sam telling Jon that you were the best friend I ever had, and Jon saying, and so were you. That was really, really sweet and emotional, And they hug each other, and before Jon leaves, before, they leave, he looks, at Jon. Again, I cannot talk, it happens lately. Anyway, he looks at Ghost, and he doesn't even say goodbye to Ghost. Ghost is looking like that, at him, and he doesn't hug him, he doesn't pet him, he doesn't, just do anything. And I was so angry at Jon at that moment, so angry. First of all, why do you let him go? And then why don't you just say a proper goodbye? Anyway, I think that most of you feel the same way as I do. Yes, when it comes to that. And then we see that, because that was a part of the plan, that, they go, they are on the ships, and they are going to Dragonstone, and Jon will be heading to King's Landing, through the King's Road, most likely with the other Unsullied and everything. So we see there Missandei and Grey Worm holding hands. That was cute because they are being happy. And we have Tyrion and Varys talking about, whether about Jon, of course. And we see that Sansa told Tyrion and Varys points out that it's not a secret anymore, it's information. That was a good line, I liked it. And yes, they're talking about Jon, and Varys believes that he's most, is best fitted for, better fitted for ruling than Dany. And he had never asked that. And you see that he's starting to change, and we are wondering about treason. What's going to happen? Is he going to betray her? And Tyrion is there and still supporting her, even though I think that he's trying to convince himself at this point as well. But yes, we see that, and Varys telling him that I worry about her state of mind, and giving us the impression that if she's, she does something that he doesn't like, and that puts the realm at risk, because that's what Varys says he cares about. He won't hesitate, killing her, most likely. That's what I got. It was very interesting, yes. But anyway, we see that Dany is arriving at Dragonstone, and then that was the moment when I was like, oh, in pure shock. Of course, we see that Rhaegal is wounded in the heart, by an arrow, and we see Euron Greyjoy with the scorpions and everything. They had that, the weapon they were having since last season, and then again another arrow through his neck, and Rhaegal crying and being in pain and falling in the sea. Oh my god, my heart broke. It was unbelievable. And Dany being so angry and just heading towards Euron with Drogon, but then she realizes she will put herself and Drogon at risk, and she turns around and leaves. Oh my god, but it was so shocking, the shocking scene, and so intense. I was like, oh my god. Yes, she is furious, she leaves, and then what happens? We have the attack on the ships. Tyrion is trying to escape, and everybody's going to sea. They go to the shore at Dragonstone because they fell into the sea, excuse me. And we see that they have no fleet anymore, and they are looking for another, and they are looking for Missandei, and she's nowhere to be found, which was worrying, really worrying. Yes. And then we move to King's Landing. We have the scene, and we find Missandei. She's Cersei's captive. Oh my god, I was so worried about her at this point, and for a good reason, as it was proven. Yeah. And then we have Varys telling Dany that she is wrong, and she shouldn't attack, and everything, and all these nice intense moments that we need. Yes. And he's trying to convince her and tells her, oh my god, do not become what you try to defeat. That was a really good point. And please do not destroy the city. And Tyrion tells her that she can ask Cersei to give up the throne, and they disagree. That was a good scene as well. Of course, I really liked it, and so that too. And Varys says that after that, Varys says that Jon may be a better king, and we know that he is going to betray her at this point. We feel it coming, and also worrying about Varys and his survival if he does that, of course, because then at this point she is balancing, and she's going through a lot, and you cannot blame her, to be honest. Yes. And yeah, they're talking, and then we head back to Winterfell, and we see that Jaime sees Brienne talking to Sansa, and Sansa had just heard the news, and tells Jaime, I wish I was there, to see your sister, and being defeated and dead and everything, but unfortunately I will not be able to do so. And we see Jaime thinking, because Cersei is one step ahead of them, so we see he has a weird facial expression, so we are worried a bit, to be honest. Yes. And then we are again in Brienne's room. It's night time, and Jamie's packing his thing and he's ready to leave. And we see Brienne going after him, and they talk. And Brienne is so worried, and she says, "Don't go back to her, because you're not a bad person. You're not like her. You're different. I know. I have seen it. And please stay for me." And she cries, and my heart breaks because Jamie is, so harsh at her at that moment, and tells her all the terrible things that he has done for Cersei and everything. He was a bit cruel, to be honest. And Brienne, you see her heart is breaking, my heart breaks as well, but I'm ready to yell at the screen, like, no, he's lying, I don't believe it. I don't believe, he's going to hurt you and do something, but he's lying, and I wanted to tell that to her, but of course he's leaving. And that's what I think, guys. I think that he's going back to King's Landing, not because he truly loves Cersei, but because he knows how dangerous he is right now. And I think he's going to fulfill the Valonqar prophecy and kill her. That's what I think. And he wanted to protect Brienne and make her stay behind, so he had to be so cruel to her and harsh, and it was the only way, I think. But he loves her. He wouldn't do that. I hope he explains that to her later, and that things turn out this way. And then we see that they have arrived at King's Landing, Tyrion, Daenerys and Grey Worm, and we see Cersei standing up, and Dany now only has one dragon, and they send the two hands, Tyrion and Qyburn, to talk, and trying to put some sense into Cersei, or both of them at this point. It was hard, and they were talking and about what their queens want, and that they do not want people to get hurt and everything. It was nice. And then Tyrion goes to Cersei, and for a moment I thought that the archers were going to shoot him, that she was going to do the sign and be okay with that, but nope. I don't know why she didn't kill him. Anyway, she's, listening to him, and she's talking about her baby, and Cersei, I know that you've always loved your children more than anything, so please don't do that. That's what Tyrion says. Oh, that was an intense moment. And Cersei turns to Missandei, and oh my god, as expected, of course he was not going to let her go, and she says that if you have any last words, now is the time. And oh my god, that was the scene. Yeah, of course, the most shocking one of the episode. And we see Missandei saying Dracarys, that meant so much to me. Do my queen, do what you have to do, burn them all, fire and blood, and her loyalty to Daenerys as until the very end. And it was so intense again because Cersei said something when she was captive, so much for the breaker of chains, and because Missandei, that she was freed by Dany from slavery, died with a chain. So it was quite symbolic, I believe, on Cersei's part. Yes, and we see the mountain beheading her, and the Grey Worm cannot take that, and he looks away. Oh my god, and we know that was it. Now hell will break loose. We know that because we see Dany's face. Oh my god, Emilia Clarke delivered this in very, very well. And she has, the face of pain and anger. She's furious, you see it. And we know what's going to come. Oh my god, and of course that's the ending scene. And we see the trailer of next week's episode. And what's going to happen? They're getting ready for yet another battle. I don't know. My god, I cannot believe we have 2 episodes left, and so much will happen. I know. So I'm really looking forward to it, but then I will be, sad that this great series comes to an end. Yes, but I really enjoyed this episode, guys. I really enjoyed it because it was like old Game of Thrones, politics and backstabbing and plotting, everything that we loved, and a bit of violence, unfortunately, of course, but it's Game of Thrones, we know that. Anyway, as always, leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts, like this video if you liked it, and if you wish subscribe to my channel and support, you can always do so by clicking the little bubble with my face in it, here or here. It will subscribe you to my channel. See you very, very soon, my friends, in the next one on Friday. Have a great one and thank you for watching. Bye!